Today we're going to be replacing the interior hose of a Dyson ball vacuum cleaner. And this is the part that I ordered on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. Since this is a very sensitive part of the vacuum system that requires tight tolerances, I decided to go with a genuine Dyson brand part and not an aftermarket part. And this was $17.50 on Amazon from the Dyson store. Let's flip it over, pull it out and show you. This is the extension hose that goes in and out like this when you flex the handle on the ball vacuum. This part goes up toward the suction part, and this part goes down into the handle and framework, and you can see it's kind of complicated the way it mounts. This is not your typical quick vacuum repair. It's going to be a little bit more involved, but still a do-it-yourself project. If you follow these instructions, I know you can do it. The tools required will be a T8 and T10 Torx driver and a set of snap ring pliers. These aren't actually required, but it's going to make the job a lot easier, and you'll see how they work, what we use them for in just a second. All right, here's our ball. The flexible hose is located, you can see the end of it down in there. The clip that holds it up to this side of the connecting intermediate hose, it's what's broke off. The red part on the end is what's broke. So we have to disassemble both halves of the ball and find the end of this fitting here, which is actually where our new part mounts up at. Here's our new part. It's going to end up back up under here with this back hook part. I think it's going to actually end up like so up inside of the vacuum, but we'll find out in a minute. So first we're going to remove the filter cover, half of the ball system, and then twist and remove the filter. Twist counterclockwise and lift up a little. We're going to remove the other side of the ball. Here's where the snap ring pliers come in handy. To remove this side of the ball, you stick the tabs into an opposite pair of these little holes and give it a little counterclockwise twist, and that pops right out. We'll drop that in there for safekeeping. And then there's another clip right down in there. You can also use these pliers to get out. There's also a special spanner tool you can use to do it too, but this is just as easy. We'll grab that and unscrew it. There we go. Flipped it over to this side. We have 6 T10 screws we have to remove. 3 up here on the high part, and then these 3 back here on the outer ring. And then this whole assembly right here will come off. Pick this whole piece up and set that aside. That'll expose this side down here. We're going to go ahead and pop off the cleaner head now too by pulling off the retainer ring and then just wiggling the head off until it pops off. And now we're not actually going to pull these 3 screws here out. We're going to rotate the vacuum until you see a screw under here. There we go. We've rotated it. Now we can see each of these holes has a screw underneath it, and those 2 screws are going to have to come out. Now we flipped it over. We're going to remove these 2 screws right here so we can slide this half moon shaped piece out that way. So far, all of the black T10 screws have been the same length and diameter. Right, now we can slide this half moon cover off like so. It kind of tips up, and as you pulled it off, it kind of tipped up. There you go. You gotta like tilt it a little bit to get it back in too. Then we have 1 T8 screw right here on the side to take out, and 2 more T10s on the side of the ball beside the power head. You can see the areas are slotted to make them easier to find and get in. Now we can slide this up out of the way, and we can move the electrical connector up and out and just lay that off to the side. We're getting closer. This part right here is actually the end of our new part. See that? Look at that. So we're getting close to being able to put this in. Now we're going to remove this front screw here. Well, it's the lowermost screw on this side of the ball right there. Another T10. And that's what actually holds the gear and locking clip into place. Or I guess we call that a stopping, gear and stop, I think I would call it. Pull that out, and that's the same as all the other T10 screws. So far we've only got 3 kinds of screws, which is good. It makes it easy to get it back together. Now the next step is to get this plate over and off. Looks like we're going to have to pull this outward. See how that kind of pulls outward? And pull this outward at the same time and pop this piece off so we can get inside of it. And let me use 2 hands and see. And that was how you do it. You pop that off by pulling on both sides of it lightly and unscrewing it. And then your gear falls out. So we're going to have to remember to put that gear back in. Now we've got the place where we need to be. We've got the broken part in our hand attached to the lower frame. And those are the same shorter T10s as the ones we pulled out from underneath this top cover. Now we've got all the screws out. We're going to flip it back over for you so you can see how it comes off. And there's the part, and it just lifts right off. This mounting end of it here broke off. You can see how much bigger the mounting end is supposed to be. So now we're just going to take this. We're going to set it down in place here and screw it in from the bottom. It feels like it's perfect, so we're going to go ahead and tighten those down. We've reached the only spot that's really kind of tricky, and even that's not too bad. You didn't see very many other videos that explained it online, but make sure your wheels are back in the fully back position so you have a good view of the new hose, the sides, and this before we stretch the half ball back over into place. When you begin this part of the assembly process, make sure this white gear right here is only tightened down about halfway so that it moves enough to manipulate it into the correct position, where the first tooth on the gear corresponds with the first tooth hole in the frame right there. That tooth hole right there is where you need to line the first tooth of the gear up into before you snap it totally into place. And the little guide rail on the gear is on the outside of that plastic frame right there. And then tighten the gear screw down tight. The wheels up by hand, pull your hose down through the groove and snap it into place until you hear it click. See, the hose is now stretched out a little bit and routed and firmly in place. Now we're going to slide the electrical connector down into place so that tab is right there. Make sure the wire's tucked in out of the way. Slide the cover plate down. Get it all lined up. And then we can put the screws back in down here. Replace the half moon cover with the 2 screws. That other little tiny T8 screw goes right there, the black one. All right, now for the 2 little silver screws we have left. Those are going to go here and here. So, time for the side cover. That just only goes on one way from the feel of it. And let's get these screws back in. Screws are back in, right there. And then twist till it pops down into place. Set the other side of the ball cover in place. Hand tighten the nut on top, and then use your snap ring pliers to do the final tightening of it. Put the final locking tab in place. Use your snap ring pliers to twist it about a 1/4 turn clockwise while holding the outer ring. Into place. Head back on. Line it up with the electrical connector right near the top center. Make sure your connector is going into the spot where it belongs and push it in. And when it goes on, this is how the bracket should look from this side here. And that concludes the process. Now we're going to stand it upright and put it down on the carpet and see what happens. It's working great. I got this nice size pile of dirt from a very small area of my living room carpet. Don't be afraid to try this yourself. I know you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it took me about an hour and 10 minutes for my first try, which I don't think is bad. And if you can match or beat that, you know, that means I did a pretty good video showing you how to do it. Save your vacuum, save your money, do it yourself. Have a great day.